man to attempt this course in seriousness after setting the fastest time in the prologue this morning in the BMW M3. He's going to be going off in the Ford Siera, which of course is only rear-wheel drive, and to be strictly honest, in these conditions today where the loose gravel and mud are causing problems, you would really look to be driving a four-wheel drive car. Let's have a look how Juha Kankkunen, the world champion in 1986 and 1987, goes around here. Comes out off the circuit itself and onto some of the loose stuff. 2 minutes 16.56 was the time that he set for this 2.48 kilometre course this morning. Looks to be going a wee bit gingerly for Kankkunen around this set of the circuit at least. He's had a disappointing season. He's driving for Toyota in 1988, and he looked at one stage as though he was going to win the last World Championship rally of the season, which was the Lombard RAC in Great Britain. But on the final day, when he was leading, he misread the road in Yorkshire and hit a patch of ice and crashed out. 29 years old, from Finland, and he says that it's about 20 degrees warmer here than it is back home. In fact, he's just negotiating to buy a house in Spain, Juha Kankkunen. So there's the time, bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And he's driving very smoothly indeed over a nasty, grubby piece of circuit which has been prepared here, the brainchild of Michel Mouton, to determine who out of the 8 world champions over the 10 years that the World Championship for Drivers has been in operation, who is going to be the best on this day, a rather grey, murky day in Montlhéry, just 30 kilometres south of Paris. This rear-wheel drive Ford Siera, which is similar to the car which Stig Blomqvist, who we'll see later, drives on the World Championship events in 1988. There's him using that rear-wheel drive to come out of that hairpin and back towards the finish of the circuit, which is back on the main track here at Montlhéry. There he is sliding around, just kissing those tyre barriers there and coming through with 2 minutes 17.07, which is just slightly slower than he set in the prologue this morning. 2 minutes 16.56, but still a very respectable time. Average speed of 65.13 kilometres an hour, and that's the standard that everybody else has to beat. Next away, the West German Röhrl, who was world champion in 1980 and 1982. And this again in the Ford Siera. Out off the circuit and onto the loose tarmac and gravel, which is on the infield of this banked circuit here in Montlhéry. Rohrl again taking this very gingerly. They've all had a very good look at this course throughout the day. And Walter, who of course made his name with Audi, the Audi Quattro, although he won his first World Championship in 1980 at the wheel of a Fiat 131. Fine sight these Ford Sieras look as they streak along that bit of paved circuit at the back of the course there. Rohrl, who we didn't see on the last World Championship event, which was the RAC rally in Britain. He hasn't competed in that for at least 3 years. The last time, I think, was 1985, when he was ruled out of it in Wales. He said that he doesn't like rallies which don't allow pace notes, and of course on the RAC only one part of it, the very first day, allows pace notes these days. 41 years old there, as you can see, from West Germany, Regensburg. Very, very capable driver, Rohrl. He made his competition debut way back in 1967. He's actually got 14 World Championship wins to his credit. And you can see some of that style just emerging there as he gets in a bit of a tangle, but comes out of it extremely well. And slides out of that hairpin, and he's heading back onto the first part of the circuit, the main circuit itself, through the set of gates there and round, and he's going to be outside the time, I think, set by Kankkunen. 2 minutes 17.07 by Kankkunen, 2 minutes 19.24 by Röhrl. And the next one to go will be the 1988 world champion, Miki Biasion, who won his title at the wheel of a Lancia Delta. Miki Biasion, 30 years old, expected to win the 1988 World Championship after a good performance in 1987. Is the third man to go, of the Ford Siera Cosworth, rear-wheel drive. Miki Biasion made his debut in 1979 on World Championship rallies. He's won 9 World Championship events, all of them in the Lancia Delta. And this year, 1988, 5 wins, which equals the record which was set originally by Stig Blomqvist when he was driving for Audi in 1984. Very capable driver indeed. These Ford Sieras prepared at Boreham Wood, which is just outside London in the UK. And Ford Siera won the manufacturer's prize on the last World Championship rally, which was the Lombard RAC in Great Britain, even though in the terribly slippery conditions which we experienced over there in November, they don't have four-wheel drive. But a great performance by Stig Blomqvist, a good one by the Spanish champion Carlos Sainz, and an excellent performance too from the young British driver Mark Lovell ensured that Ford made the manufacturer's prize title their own. This is Biasion. And those jumps and dips on the back part of the circuit there, making sure that the spectators who've paid their 70 francs to come into this circuit today see some spectacular driving. Here comes Biasion in the Siera, headlights blazing. It comes very fast into this extremely tight hairpin, and there's a lot of loose gravel and slush in that part of the course. It's the rear wheel spinning as he comes out of it and back onto the hard grip of the main circuit through the gate. The whistles you hear are those of the stewards and course marshals warning people to stand well back. 2 minutes 17.79, which is comparable with Kankkunen. Kankkunen still in the lead, 2 minutes 17.07, so 2 minutes 17.79 for Miki Biasion. And now you can expect some spectacular driving here, because the fourth man to go is Stig Blomqvist, who is at the wheel of his current World Championship car, the Ford Siera. Stig Blomqvist, he's 42 now. He seems as though he's been around since rallying was first dreamed up. Competition debut in 1964 on 11 World Championship wins. Let's see what Stig can do at the wheel of this Ford Siera, which of course he's well used to driving. Spectacular driver. Blomqvist, he always turns up for press day prior to each World Championship rally because he delights in scaring journalists and media people. And he takes his car around the tricky short forest stages and the demonstration laps. Lives in London now, Stig. Swedish, but man with a great sense of humour. Like all rally drivers, he's powerfully built. He's not a wiry, thin man as you see in Formula One. You would never mistake any of the rally drivers for Formula One drivers. And the techniques of driving, of course, are so much different. It's Stig on the back part of the course. The spectators getting a good look at the technique as he comes over that jump and through that rubby bit of the water splash. Stig's going to set a reasonable time here, I feel. He's got Immense potential. He really does want to win this event. I was talking to him last night at the hotel, and he really does feel that he's had a bit of a disappointing season in 1988, and he would like to come out with some sort of title at the end of it, and what better than champion of rally champions. Stig Blomqvist. Into the hairpin. Takes it very well. He'd swing the back of the car out effectively there and into the final part of the course. Just gets it slightly wrong as he comes into that corner. Marshall's have got a bit of work to do on the tyre bales there. Slides into the side. He's losing a bit of time here, but it's still a very, very quick time. He's made it into the lead, 2 minutes 15.99. Thought that we might see something special from Stig Blomqvist. That puts him into the lead, and driving his own Ford Siera. Magnificent time from Stig, but of course everybody has an equal chance in this rally, in these first stages. The spectacled Timo Salonen. Quiet fin, but drives extremely quickly. He made his debut in 1970, and he's 11 World Championship wins. He won 5 rallies in his World Championship season in 1985, which of course equals Blomqvist's record and also that of Biasion this year. The only World Rally Champion to wear glasses at all times, and it has, those of us who wear spectacles, you'll be glad to know that it has no effect on his driving at all. No disadvantage for Salonen to wear spectacles. Picks up speed through that particular section of the track there. There's a good, hard surface, plenty of grip, but soon he's going to be back on the loose gravel, which of course is going to cut up throughout the day. Timo Salonen, time to beat. Stig Blomqvist, 2 minutes 15.99 around this 2.48 circuit. It's a circuit which is similar to those opening stages which we see on the Lombard RAC, the ones around the stately homes of Britain, of which there were 8, I think, this year, and which catch out even vastly experienced drivers. Jimmy McRae went out on the first day when there were high hopes of him winning, from British spectators at least. Mikael Eriksson, the Swedish driver for Lancia, he went out too on the opening day. Here comes Salonen into this hairpin. Let's see how he deals with this. He's taken it a wee bit gingerly, certainly more gingerly than Blomqvist did. Gets the car a little bit sideways as he comes into this exit off the infield and into the main area of the track. It's a very fast time as he comes around there. That's 2 minutes 14. He's going to be just outside Blomqvist's time, 2 minutes 16.45, which puts him into second place. 2 minutes 16.45. Next up is Björn Waldegård, who was the first world champion in rallying in 1979 at the wheel of a Ford Escort. Björn Waldegård is now 45 years old, married with 3 children. The last time that he drove in a World Championship event, which was the RAC, it was good to see him back on that. He was an excellent third in the Toyota to Marco Allen, who won his first RAC this year after 15 years of trying. Timo Salonen second in the Mazda, and then Waldegård in third place. Vastly experienced driver, 15 World Championship wins, including 5 Swedish rallies. 5 times he's won his home rally between 1968 and 1978. He's also twice won the Monte Carlo, 1969 and 1970. Through the trees, using the power of the car on this hard, concreted stage at the back there. Going well. very, very cool and efficient driver, Waldegard. He's driven for Lancia, for Ford, for Mercedes, for Toyota throughout his long career. A gentleman in every sense of the word, a fine driver, quiet humorist, and a patient and genuine man. Björn Waldegård, the 6th man to attempt this test in the Ford Siera. Comes around onto this very muddy and loose stretch of the infield. Into the hairpin and offline there, but recovers well. Now he's got to pick up speed and use all the width of the track as he gets back onto the main circuit. But some costly errors towards the end of that particular test has pushed Waldegard well up to 21.04, and he's going to have a hard job to qualify for the next stage. 7th man up, Hannu Mikkola, 46 years old, world champion in 1983 when he was driving the Audi Quattro. Another very pleasant Finn, although he divides his time now between living in Finland and also at Palm Beach in the USA. Mikola made his competition debut in 1963. 18 World Championship wins, which was a record until Marco Alain won the RAC last month in November. And Alain edged ahead of him 19 points. He's won his own 1,000 Lakes Rally in Finland 7 times. And he was the first non-Swede to win the Swedish Rally. Of course, Hannu Mikkola, a very famous co-driver during his vintage years, Arnie Hertz. Arnie, who on the last World Championship event turned up co-driving the West German champion, 25-year-old Armin Schwartz, who in an Audi Quattro finished a very creditable 5th. And Arnie, when asked to compare the West German with Mikola, said probably a little bit too early to judge. He certainly thought that the young man was a star of the future and one to look out for in this event in future years. Hannu Mikkola with that. It's a deceptively conservative driving style which he uses. He is very, very quick. Again, a very quiet and patient man, as most of the Scandinavians are, the exception to the rule, of course, being Marco Alain. And Mikola getting in a little bit of trouble there, obviously. Just about where Waldegard lost it too. And he's going to have to make up a bit of time over this last short section where he can get plenty of grip, but he's going to be well out, I think, here. Yes, that puts him down in 7th place, 2:22.35. Good 6.36 seconds off the lead, and that's some considerable difference over the 2.48, almost 1.5 mile circuit here. And obviously conditions are getting slightly worse the longer that the tests go on. Away goes Vatanen. Ari Vatanen, the 1981 World Rally champion, who admits that he probably won the world title a little bit too early in his career than was really good for him. He's 36 years old, married with 3 children. Very pleasant man, a laconic man with a dry wit, sense of humour. Lives at Bookham Dean in Berkshire in England, which was for a while that area the home of motor racing competitors, with people like Jacques Lafitte, the French Formula One driver, and Keke Rosberg living in the same part of the world. Also Marco Elaine was there, but they've all moved away now, and Ari Vatanen is the only one left, although he says that he will sometime in the very near future be moving back to Finland, basically because it's time that his 3 children were educated in the Finnish school and the Finnish way of life. Very experienced competitor. Of course, he had that horrific crash in Argentina, which very nearly cost him his life, and it took him a long time to recover from it. Some of the descriptions of the illnesses and the setbacks which he suffered, as he describes them in his recent book, are quite illuminating. But he's back at the height of his powers now, winner of the Paris-Dakar in 1987 in a Peugeot 205. And then, of course, when he was leading the 1988 event in a Peugeot 405, he woke up one morning to find that somebody had stolen it from the Parc Fermé. Very suspicious circumstances, because a normal car thief would find it very difficult to even start the car up. Here goes Vatanen, setting. That's a reasonably quick time at that stage, but he's got to make up some on this part of the circuit here to get within sight of that 2 minutes 15.99 set by Stig Blomqvist, and 2 minutes 17.61 is only enough for 4th place. So just having a look through the times, Kankkunen first away, set the standard with 2 minutes 17.07. Rohrl, who was second off, 2 minutes 19.24. Biasion, 2 minutes 17.79. Blomqvist quickest, 2 minutes 15.99. Salonen, 2 minutes 16.45. And Waldegard, 2 minutes 21.04. Mikola, 2 minutes 22.35. And as we've just seen, Ari Vatanen, 2 minutes 17.61. Ari Vatanen probably going to be very disappointed with that time, 4th quickest. As we were saying, he's a vastly experienced competitor and loves to win and does not expect anybody to be in front of him. The recent RAC, when he was driving the untried Mitsubishi, they had a lot of teething problems with it. But on the last day, just before he actually went out with engine failure, he set the quickest time on one of the longest stages. There you see the position at the end of the first test, the first qualification test, the Ford Siera Cosworth, with Blomqvist quickest, and Salonen 2 minutes 16.45. So next to go on this Champion of Champions event, we have the Opel Manta. This, of course, is one of the really tried and trusted rally cars. So away goes. This should be, I think, Hannu Mikkola. We get this confirmation. 46 years old. Mikola first away because he was last on the first test, at that time 2 minutes 22.35. So Mikola with a lot to do if he's going to improve. He's very nearly 6 seconds adrift of Stig Blomqvist. Sounds from the bark of that engine as though Mikola really is trying. It's a dull grey day here in France, just south of Paris. So none of the problems which Mikola experienced on the RAC rally, where he came shooting round a corner early in the morning in one of the forest stages in Yorkshire on the last day, when he was actually in the lead and was suddenly dazzled by bright early morning sunshine streaming through his windscreen, completely lost track of where he was and went off the road, damaging the gearbox, and that was his rally over for another year. Hannu Mikkola just getting it out of line there. That's going to be costly in terms of time. Grubby circuit now. See the banked track there, which is being used for spectator viewing today. Mikkola drifting this rear-wheel drive Opel into these very tight hairpins. Knocks over a tyre barrier there. Bit of work for the stewards and marshals. Again, using that rear wheel to negotiate that tight hairpin round. He's coming back onto the main circuit now. Not a particularly quick time, judging by the times which Blomqvist and Salonen were setting in the Siera earlier. 2 minutes 27.62. Well, that's standard for the rest of them to beat, but effectively it doesn't look as though it will pose these drivers too much of a problem. Björn Waldegård now away. First test 2 minutes 21.04, which is only enough for 7th place out of the 8. Streams out onto the infield. Classic lines of the Opel Manta. Lovely rally car. No mistaking that Opel sound as he threads his way around the back of the course. All sorts of potential hazards out there. There's very greasy surface on some of those corners, which are catch out the unsuspecting driver if he puts the power on just a little bit too early. Find himself shooting through the trees. Opens it out down there as he flashes away through to the very tight left-hander. Slow part of the track to negotiate over that jump. Waldegard looking good so far. Then again, he hasn't come to the part of the course which caught him out on the first test. Great entertainment this for the French spectators. They love their rallying. And to see 8 world champions all gathered together and competing against each other in an afternoon in a very short space of time, only an hour and 3/4 or so, is a terrific attraction. Here goes Waldegard, and he's made a bit of a mess of that particular hairpin again, although not as bad as when he went round first time in the Ford Siera. This is looks as though he should be inside the time which was set by Mikola. 2 minutes 27.62 Mikola's time, left-hand corner of the screen, and Waldegard through easily, almost 8 seconds ahead, 2 minutes 19.63. So up to the line, the third man away, who was 6th in time in the first test, Walter Rohrl. The cool, placid West German. It's not to say that he doesn't get roused at times. He has been known to use some choice German language at mechanics when they've got things slightly wrong. Time in the first test when he was 2nd away after Kankkunen, 2 minutes 19.24. Immediately looking to set a quick time as he takes that tight right-hander. Rohrl controlling the car well there. It's obviously part of the track where the car obviously wants to go one way. Rohrl is determined that the car is not going to get its own way, and driving superbly and effectively down that fast stretch course with that left-hander at the end. Slow section of track there as go away on the elongated loop. Drew that jump, water splash there. Walter Rohrl from West Germany, world champion 1980 and 1982. That jump with a bit of a crash as he landed. 41 years old now, Walter Rohrl. You can tell from the ages of most of these drivers that obviously takes a bit of maturity and a bit of experience to become a truly competitive rally driver. It's rare indeed that somebody makes an impression early in his career. The best so far in the Opel through that particular part of the hairpin for Rohrl, and out onto the circuit, back round to the finish now. Will he make it inside that 2 minutes 19.63 set by Waldegard? Yes, by 2.52. 2:17.11 for Walter Rohrl. Next up to the line, Miki Biasion, the 1988 world champion. Now, Miki, of course, well used to driving four-wheel drive Lancia Deltas around the various rallies of the world. See how he gets on in a rear-wheel drive Opel Manta on a very greasy and slippery track here at Monterey in France. Very cold, grey December afternoon. Quite a wind blowing earlier today, although it seems to have dropped now. It's actual underfoot conditions, as it were, which are going to cause problems for the drivers. Slippery, greasy, muddy surface. Negotiates that well and gets the car into a good position to accelerate away down the short straight there. Sets himself up again for the long, fast straight. He can start to open the car up. Left-hander on the way. Going well. Fastest time at that stage. Very jolly little chap, Miki Biasion. 30 years old, the current world champion from Italy. Made his debut in competition in 1979, which was, of course, the first year of the World Championship, and 9 World Championship wins altogether. 5 of them this year, equaling the record Salonen and Blomqvist. Along with his Lancia teammates, Mikael Eriksson, the Swede, and Marco Alén, the Finn. It's a very formidable force in rallying with Lancia Delta. Takes it well through there. Looked good at that stage, didn't he? And charging for the line now. He's outside Walter Rohrl's time, 2 minutes 19.51, and only just inside that of Björn Waldegård, 2 minutes 19.63. So Biasion lying in second place at the moment, 2 minutes 19.51. And the 5th man up to the line in this test, Ari Vatanen. Got disappointed with his 2 minutes 17.61 earlier today in the Ford Siera Cosworth. Let's see what he can do now. Ari Vatanen, the Opel Manta. 270 brake horsepower here, and Vatanen well used to Opel cars. He won the Safari Rally in 1983 in an Opel Ascona 400. This is the Opel Manta 400. Controls the car well through there. There's a lot of doubt, of course, about Vatanen, whether he would ever drive again after that very bad crash in Argentina. He's back at his peak now. Third place, third fastest time at that stage on the course. And if Mitsubishi can produce the machinery reliability to match Vatanen's ability, then Vatanen could be back with a few more wins in his career yet. He's still only 36 years old. Had his competition debut back in 1971 and has 10 World Championship wins to his credit. It's a nasty bit of track just to negotiate there. It's around into these consecutive hairpins. Holds it well. It's a tendency just to lose the back of the car at that stage, but he drifts it round well and accelerates away, uses all of that 270 brake horsepower to get the car through that stage, in through the gates and onto the track. But he's already outside the time set by Rohrl, and 2 minutes 21.75 is only good enough for fourth place so far out of 5. Juha Kankkunen, Finland, champion of the world 1986 and 1987. Bit of a disappointing year really with Toyota, although gradually the car has got better and better as the season has gone on. And noticeable that Kankkunen is far more relaxed this year than he was during his World Championship year with Lancia, when there were various problems, personality clashes within the team. Although not between the drivers, I must hasten to add, not between Kankkunen and Marco Alain. It was Kankkunen, after he crashed out in the RAC in November, who immediately ran back along the road because he knew that Marco was following him at quite a pace. And he ran back along the road with a red warning triangle to place there to warn Alain of the hazard ahead. It was a sheet of black ice which caught Juha Kankkunen out when he looked as though he was establishing the sort of lead which might actually win him his first event for almost a year. Excellent driver, the youngest of the 8 world champions competing here today, 29 years old, and twice world rally champion, 1986 and 1987. The only other man out of the 8 to have won it twice, of course, was Rohrl, who did it in 1980 and 1982. Opel really hits the ground with a bump as it comes off that jump, doesn't it? Let's have a look how he handles. Particularly tricky piece of track there, and here where we've seen so many of the drivers lose time in these hairpins, and Kankkunen getting it a wee bit sideways, too much so, and again not coming through those hairpins cleanly. It's cost him fractions of a second. Now 2:17.11, he's inside of that. He can get the power on quickly enough. He's going to be just outside, 2 minutes 17.93, good enough for second place. So that's 6 men gone, and the quickest time still Rohrl, who was third away, 2 minutes 17.11. Kankkunen 2 minutes 17.93. Now Timo Salonen. Salonen, who was world champion in 1985 when he was driving for Peugeot 205. And for most, if not all, of his rally career, I think he's used four-wheel drive, so this rear-wheel drive Opel could be a different experience for him. Slides the car around there where the old leaves have dropped onto part of the inside of the track, and away he goes, heading for the fastest part of the circuit. He's got a short straight here. Away he goes before this left-hander. Took that brilliantly. Excellent piece of driving, and fastest on this test at that halfway point. Salonen, the bespectacled Finn, drove for Mazda in the World Championship this year. We haven't seen him as much as we hoped in 1988. But they have had problems with the car. But Salonen remains as quick as any driver in the world these days. Enjoys his driving. Now then, sets himself up for these two tight hairpins, and again, just fractions of a second being lost there because the car is not quite in the right position to take the second hairpin after coming out of the first. So he slides into this section of the track, which is back on the main circuit, looking for 2 minutes 17.11. He's not going to be that far away. 17.46 is enough for second place. So up to the line now comes the man who was quickest in the first test in the Ford Siera, as we expected, driving his own World Championship car, Stig Blomqvist. Stig Blomqvist, the Swede who was World Rally Champion in 1984. That was 20 years after making his World Championship debut. So on the first test he set a very quick time, 2 minutes 15.99, which was half a second quicker than Timo Salonen. And Stig Blomqvist will be very happy to be half a second quicker than Timo Salonen again, because that would put him into the lead. Held at the moment by Rohrl on this test. Once Blomqvist has gone through this stage, and the times of the drivers will be added together, and the 4 drivers with the best time go into the semi-final. So at the moment it looks as though, provided that Blomqvist does anything he like, and he's not far off at the halfway stage there, just 0.62 off the quickest time of the day, then he should qualify reasonably comfortably. Still a very talented driver, although his 1988 season has not been up to his usual very high standard. Very popular driver all the way around the world. And the type of man who really would take to this event. Champion of champions, the chance to prove just who is the best of the 8 world champions that have been in the 10 years that the championship has been in operation. Into the hairpin now for Blomqvist. And that really is proving to be quite a tricky part of the circuit. But he's gone well, 2 minutes 12 as he comes through the gate, so he won't be too far away, although he's slithering down that part of the track, and 2 minutes 19.19, good enough for 4th place, so that should see him through to the qualifying time for the semi-final. So we'll wait for the statisticians just to do their arithmetic, if we can see if we can add up, see who was quickly in our heads and see who just might be out and who therefore will not be taking part in the semi-final, which will be the Audi Quattro. Certainly it looks as though Blomqvist, you see him here on this replay, qualified. He 2 minutes 19.19 and 2 minutes 15.99. Salonen 2 minutes 17.46 and 2 minutes 16.45. Kankkunen 2 minutes 17.93 and 2 minutes 17.07. Rohrl 2 minutes 17.11 and 2 minutes 19.24. So we're just waiting for confirmation of who will take the wheel in the semi-final with the Audi Quattros. The Audi Quattro, there are the confirmation of the times set in that second test. So it looks as though the top 4 will qualify with their times added from the first test, and the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th men, which include the 1988 world champion, will have missed out. We're still waiting for confirmation of the times once they're added together. Rohrl. Audi obviously satisfied that he's qualified, because there is the Rohrl stickers on the Quattro. And an interesting comparison coming up here. Here we see the 4 fastest times, with Salonen through, Kankkunen through, Blomqvist and Rohrl. Rohrl the slowest and just making it in thanks to that quick time set on the last stage with the Opel Manta. So it's Salonen, Kankkunen, Blomqvist and Rohrl. They will go in reverse order. Rohrl, the double world champion, 1980 and 1982, bringing the Quattro up to the line.
C'est le premier des 4 pilotes à s'élancer pour les demi-finales avec l'Audi Quattro. Donc départ dans quelques petites secondes pour l'Allemand Rohrl, le directeur de course.
Roll away, and this of course his own car, so vast experience in this. 4-wheel drive to make a major difference. Been in rallying now for 21 years. Let's see. Lanky West German. Excellent driver, very competitive man. The harsh bark of the Quattro as it wends its way around that tricky part of the circuit onto the main straight. 56.92 at that stage, going well. Over the jump. You see the amount of mud and slush which is appearing on the course now. And that part just in front of the bank part of the old test track. A bit like the old Brooklands back in the UK. Here comes Rohrl now. Splashes his way through the loose gravel, heading up for the double hairpin. First there, and you can see the effect of 4-wheel drive compared with the way they were handling it in the Manta and the Siera. Rohrl putting the pace on through that very, very short straight. Where they come around the back of this track again. Quattro here on its second circuit at the Montfleury track with Rohrl at the wheel. It's the semi-final. The 4th place man Rohrl up against Blomqvist, Salonen and Kankkunen already eliminated. Mikola, Waldegard, Biasion and Ari Vatanen. Rohrl on the Audi Quattro, getting a second look at this part of the track. On go the brakes as he went into that left-hander, then the right. Four-wheel drive, pulling the car through those slippery, slushy bits. The instant power that you experience as soon as you touch the accelerator pedal on one of these rally cars, and Rohrl experiencing it there as he let the car drift through the corner and then hit the throttle again. Takes these hairpins now, slides the car around into the second one. Bark of exhaust from the Quattro as it flies out of the second circuit, around again and through the gate, this time back onto the start-finish line. This is the standard that everybody else is going to have to beat. Rohrl 3:49.65 for 2 laps of that tricky Manta circuit, the test which has been devised by Michel Mouton, whose brainchild this whole event has been. Whereas there have been 1 or 2 teething problems, it's generally been a very exciting and enjoyable event to be a part of. Here comes Stig Blomqvist. 3:49.65, standard set by the West German Rohrl, and Blomqvist will be attempting to put some daylight between himself and the rest of these 2 circuits of this track. Stig Blomqvist, who was fastest in the Ford Siera, 2:15.99, just the 1 circuit, 1984 World Rally Champion. From this semi-final we will have 2 finalists. The one man who's extremely determined to be there is Stig Blomqvist. Over the jump. Keeps control of the car so well as he came out of there. Heads for this particularly tricky piece of Manta, just around there in front of the bank part of the old test track. Just got a glimpse then of just how badly that part of the track is cutting up. Puddles lying there as he heads now for this grubby hairpin, the first one. Goes well, just gets the car a little bit too much sideways, but manages to pull out and get into a decent position to come through the second set. Away he goes on his second lap, so just about 2 minutes for his first one. And the impression, at least, is that Stig Blomqvist is going very well indeed. Quattro, a real driver's, a real enthusiast car. Flipped the Quattro through there in fine style, Blomqvist. Hurtles down the fast straight. Sharp explosive exhaust as he changes down and takes these left and rights. Car wash business in Manta is going to make a profit at the end of today, I should think. By the state of some of these cars after Just a couple of laps around this circuit. Very nasty day, slippery conditions, and tribute to the experience and the quality of these drivers that we've, so far at least, seen any major moments. Here comes Blomqvist into the double hairpin for the second time. Seem to be fighting it a little bit through there. Now then, 3 minutes 49.65 set by Rohrl, and he's going to be outside that, Blomqvist. 3 minutes 53.16 as the leaves and bits of sand and gravel go flying there. So very nearly 4 seconds outside Walter Rohrl's time, and 3 minutes 49.65 still the standard for Juha Kankkunen, the double world champion 1986 and 1987, to beat. The Audi Quattro, four-wheel drive. Around about 500 brake horsepower, I should think, this 5-cylinder engine generates. Turbo engine, of course, and Kankkunen using the power there, getting a little bit close to the tyre wall. Really puts the pace on now, Kankkunen. Down the straight, brakes on, left-hander. Negotiates that well, then the jump. Very, very quick driver, Kankkunen. Very alert brain, a tactical driver too. Noticeable that the RAC last month, he used the rules and regulation book as well as he possibly could. Unfortunately, he went out on the last day because he'd actually manoeuvred himself into a position where he could have won the rally. Here he comes into the hairpin now. Quattro way on the second circuit of this semi-final, and he's certainly quicker than Blomqvist at this stage. 3 minutes 49.65 the standard to beat. So he's got to go even faster on this second circuit than he did on the first to get inside Walter Rohrl's time. But Kankkunen being a tactical driver, the tactics that he used on the RAC were that he hung back going into stages which were slippery because of ice and snow, and let Hannu Mikkola attempt them first. Forced him into a position where he had to go first through the stages, and obviously clear a path for Kankkunen and also give him a standard, a time to beat. And by using up his 20-minute allowance, Kankkunen eked out decisive advantage at the end of the fourth day. Helped, of course, by Mikkola making a wrong tyre choice as well. Here comes Kankkunen. Puts the power on quickly through that particular stage after the jump. A fine sight, a rally car in full cry, and Kankkunen controlling it just at the very edge of the car going out of control. Clips the tyre wall there, but he won't be too worried about that now then. He's looking for 349.65. He's got to get a lot of power on very quickly if he's going to get inside that. Let's have a look as he comes out onto the straight on the start-finish straight. Inside, brilliant. 346.15. Did extremely well towards the end of that second circuit, Juha Kankkunen. And set a considerably quicker time than Stig Blomqvist, who already knows that he will not be taking part in the final. Timo Salonen. Time to beat 3:49.65, which will push Rohrl out of the reckoning. Timo Salonen from Finland, world champion 1985. Very experienced driver, knows how to use four-wheel drive. Salonen is probably the quietest of the Finns in terms of the way that he will often set reasonable times without appearing to be particularly quick on World Championship rallies, but he's never far away from the lead, and he's always there to capitalise on mistakes which the others make. Down the straight, the brakes going on a touch earlier than others, I thought, for a moment, and maybe Salonen just approaching that particular left-hander a little bit gingerly. 3 minutes 49.65 is the time to beat, which will put him into a final against Kankkunen. Obviously, mind setting the fastest time here and having the advantage over Kankkunen in the final. Here he comes into the double hairpin for the first time. Rides it very effectively, probably just a little bit shy of getting the car on quickly there in that particular stretch of the circuit, but it's away and onto his second circuit in under 2 minutes, so a chance to challenge Rohrl's time, and maybe if he can put in a performance something like Kankkunen did on his second circuit, then maybe he could come out fastest in this semi-final. Timo Salonen, the 1988 Mazda driver. Second last time out on the Lombard RAC in Britain in November. Flips the Quattro through that part of the track, down the far straight. Looking for the left-hander at the end, and again just touching the brakes a little earlier than most there, I thought. Over the jump. Handles it well through there. Salonen. For a disappointing 1988 season all round, I would think he'd be a little annoyed that he's not managed to do better, not his own fault, problems with the car and so forth, and hasn't actually managed to put in the results which we all know that he's capable of. A great driver still. Here he goes through the double hairpin for the second time. 3:49.65 is the time to beat, and as he comes out of the second hairpin for the second time, it looks as though he's going to be pushed to do it. Now then, what time does he turn into the start-finish straight? 3:49.65, the time to beat, well inside, and Salonen qualifies. 3:46.24 is only 0.19, or 0.09, as you see there, outside the time set by Juha Kankkunen in the semi-final. So the head-to-head now. The 1985 world champion Timo Salonen against the world champion of 1986 and 1987, Juha Kankkunen. So first of the line, Juha Kankkunen in the 205. This final consisting of 2 circuits each for the drivers, first in the 205 and then in the Lancia Delta. Kankkunen up to the line, a very personable young man, very calm and efficient driver, twice world champion. And this is the 205 that he won the world championship in first time out. The in-car camera there with a view of the driver's feet as he shoots away from the line. French technicians have been working hard all day Let's get that camera installed into both the 205 and the Lancia Delta. Bit of luck, we'll see some excellent pictures of the efficiency of Kankkunen's feet in Salonen 2. Heel and toes, he rips through the gears, way down onto the greasy part of the circuit, that bit of gravel and then the tarmac. Picture just breaking up a touch there, a bit of interference. But fascinating stuff all the same. How a top-class driver actually works not just with his head steering wheel, but also with his feet to get maximum power and efficiency out of this car. Onto the brake, slides the right foot onto the gas as well, keeps the revs up. He just goes through that twiddly part of the circuit and over that jump. Kankkunen on his way, and nasty bit of interference at the in-car camera. A bit hard to judge just how much interference you're going to get when a car is hurtling around a circuit at these sort of speeds and with these sort of revs. Kankkunen really trying on this one. Experienced an excellent year with Peugeot back in 1986, the year that he won the World Championship. Shot of him as he spins the steering wheel through that bit of the hairpin. Hannu Mikkola decides that he's seen enough. He's eliminated at an early stage and leaves this straight fight, Kankkunen against Salonen, for the title of champion. Kankkunen well into his second circuit now in the 205 and heading for a decent time too. Hear the engine screaming as he comes down that bit of the straight, and then he brakes for that left-hander. Bark from a turbo. Over the jump, gets the wheels on the ground as quickly as he possibly can so that he can accelerate away. And believe it or not, this car was clean when it went out on its first circuit. Coming up would estimate that somewhere around about 3:42, 3:43 would be a good time in the 205. And Kankkunen's well on course for that. Another shot from the in-car camera. See how hard they have to work just to get these cars to perform around this short but very tricky circuit. Now then, this is the standard which Salonen has at least got to match in the 205, 3:41.98. And I would estimate that that is probably a second or 2 seconds even inside what will be a standard time in the Peugeot 205 around this track. An excellent time, an excellent standard set by Juha Kankkunen back at the wheel of a Peugeot 205. In a second or two we'll be seeing Timo Salonen, his opponent in this final. They've got not only just to go around in the 205, they've also got to go in the Lancia Delta Integrale. See them here working away on the 205. They'll give Salonen a completely new set of tyres. They'll also have to check the brakes as well, I should think, because they will work pretty hard during that circuit by Kankkunen, as you could see from the camera, which was giving us a view of his feet as they crisscrossed about the pedals. Maximum efficiency from these crews. You see the Spartan inside there of a normal rally car. Shot again of Kankkunen in action. And you can just imagine Kankkunen back at the wheel of this 205, and a great beam of delight, I'm sure, with that time. 3:41.98, 2 circuits the time to beat. Salonen ready and off. Away he goes. Again, the in-car shot of Salonen's feet as he exits the actual tarmac stage and onto the infield of this Integrale circuit. Not quite as clean as Kankkunen was through there. But he won't be far off this time, that's for sure. 3:41.98 is the time to keep in mind. The 2 times of the 2:05 and the Lancia Delta are added together to give us a winner at the end of the day. Salonen drifting the car through there and onto this straight. Windscreen getting splattered. Salonen really with a bit of a disadvantage, because if Kankkunen's already had 1 circuit in this car, the windscreen and mirrors and so forth tend to be pretty filthy already. Had a lot of time to clean them up. Salonen, years of experience, made his rallying debut back in 1970. So masses of experience to call upon. Took it rather gingerly over there, I felt. Slides it through rather slippery part of the circuit. He's got some twiddly bits here to negotiate, and let's just see how quickly he can get through this tight double hairpin. The 205 is a very sure-footed machine. Salonen knows it as well as anybody. As he picked his way through there quite neatly. Perhaps not quite as quickly as Kankkunen did. 4-wheel drive, of course, 5-speed gearbox, generating about 430 or so brake horsepower. Bark of the engine and the flash from the turbo as he sets the car up just to go right, then left, and then right again. An excellent driver. He positions the car so well for tight turns. Also reads the road well. The only driver, the only world champion who's worn glasses. Salonen says no disadvantage whatsoever.
163, plus de 160 à l'heure. Le long du bref passage en ligne droite, alors que la voiture est en appui parfait maintenant dans la longue courbe à droite qui ramène vers l'autoroute. Cette longue courbe qui suit l'anneau.
So Salonen back at the double hairpin, and those turbo flashes may look a bit frightening if you've never seen them before, but no real danger to driver or spectators that this car is going to suddenly burst into flames. It's quite a normal occurrence. As he hurtles back onto the Integrale circuit, he's looking at 3:41.98, which was the time set by Kankkunen. He's already outside that, and in the second stage of this final in the Lancia Delta, he's going to have, well, very nearly 2 seconds to make up. Salonen puts the car into the pits, and there is the Lancia Delta Integrale, the 1988 World Championship winning car, and Juha Kankkunen, 3:41.98 in the 205, is back at the wheel of a Lancia, and of course he won the World Championship in a Lancia in 1987. Away from the line. Break up on the in-car picture there again, but you could see the impression at least of how hard that Kankkunen was working just to keep this Lancia going quickly in a reasonably straight line.
la force de l'asphalte avec sa Lancia Delta Integrale. Et dans le petit point.
Difference in engine note there between the 205 and the Delta, quite apparent. This harsh bark of the 205 and the Delta with that slightly smoother and perhaps more Italian sound if you've got a discerning continental ear.
Avec Timo Salonen. Timo, how was it during your 2 laps?
This, of course, is a turbo car as well, the Lancia Delta. Generating somewhere around about 260 brake horsepower, so down on the Peugeot 205, which was one of the Group B cars, which were banned 2 years ago from rallying. This is the rally car which is currently legal in World Championship rallies, Group A car. Was of course a worry at one stage that Group B cars were too powerful for their own good. There were a couple of nasty accidents, notably the one to Henry Toivonen, in whose memory these championships are being staged, when he crashed on Corsica. There's a lot of doubt expressed about the real value of having what were effectively Formula One cars with normal bodywork hurtling round rock-strewn roads, and so they decided that they would restrict power and capacity and make sure that rallying became a bit more of a sensible sport. In effect, what's happened is that the manufacturers have basically decided that the Group A cars will go just as fast as the Group B cars eventually. Now then, Kankkunen into the infield, onto this bit of the circuit. The fairly smooth gravel surface there. Then onto the tarmac. Top left of the picture, you can see him as he rifles through the gearbox. Takes the car onto the little hump there. And again, he's excellent at getting the car over a hump and onto the ground so that all 4 wheels are on the ground quickly, and he's in a position to accelerate away. 3:41.98 in the 205. This will be slower than that, simply because this car is just not as powerful. Good view for the spectators on the old Monterey banking at the back of the circuit there. The circuit's still used as a test track by some of the Formula One, Formula 3000 and the sports car teams. Double hairpin approaches now for Kankkunen through the first section. Muddy a second section. Now then, sprint to the finish over the tarmac of the circuit. Neat turn up to the line. 3:53.68 it is. It's almost 12 seconds down on what he set in the 205, but even so that leaves Salonen with quite a task, because by our estimation he will have to do something like 3 minutes 51.87 if the mathematics are correct to win the title. And it looked as though Kankkunen was certainly driving the Lancia virtually on the limit as he went through the back part of the circuit, certainly on the smoother sections. And Timo Salonen straps himself into the car. He will have been told the time that he needs. But we'll have no real check on it. Into the Delta. The drivers have all enjoyed themselves on this circuit, the 2 or 3 days that they've been here. Visitors from Great Britain certainly noticed the similarity between Monterey and Brooklands, the old circuit down in the south of England, which was famous before the war. bank around the back of it where cars used to hurtle round. Some of it, of course, not dissimilar to Daytona as well, over in the USA. Salonen away from the line, won't be using any of the banks. He probably wishes that he could, because he needs a pretty fast time to win. 3 minutes 51.87, goes into the infield, off the tarmac stage, heads for the gravel. Too wise to stand on the outside of Salonen as he takes that corner. There's a lot of gravel spitting out from the back wheels. Salonen at the wheel of the Lancia Delta for the first time in anger. Had a couple of practice runs in it. He's never actually driven it in a World Championship rally. World champion in 1985. His last win was well over a year ago, 1987 in Sweden, when he won in a Mazda 323, the team that he's currently driving with. 37 now, Salonen, but the chubby, boyish good looks, he certainly doesn't seem that old when you beat him out of Nomex and helmet. Very steadily over the jump.
Timo Salonen est une sortie qui est précédant la ligne droite.
Car camera again.
Actuellement dans la spéciale.
Salonen getting the car straight into the hairpin, but then having a bit of trouble making the second section. Didn't take that particularly cleanly. Maybe lost a fraction of a second again on Kankkunen. Remember that he's looking for a time of 3:51.87 to win the title. And on this second section in the Lancia Delta, he's going to pull out all the stops. Leaves and grass and stones, everything fly from behind the back of this powerful rally car. Negotiates that section with real aplomb. Maximum revs. Down through the gearbox, onto the brake, slide the car around, takes the left-hander, over the jump. Change of surface maybe just a little bit disconcerting at that stage, but as experienced as Salonen, you're soon used to it. But to be able to judge what the car is actually travelling over without even paying too much attention to it. Good shot of the banked part of the circuit. Salonen hurtling around the infield inside of that. A lot of wheel spin. Really is trying hard, but he's actually going to get inside this time. 3 minutes 51.87 he needs for the title. A little bit scrappy through that stage, and the hairpins caused him a little bit of trouble both times. Really going to have to push it now if he's going to make it. 49, 50, 51, he's outside it, but not by very much. 3:51.87 was the time he was looking for. 3:53.02 was the time he returned, and that was very nearly half a second quicker than Juha Kankkunen managed in the Delta. So a title at the end of a somewhat disappointing season for Juha Kankkunen. Twice world champion. He's been in rallying now for 10 years. And he adds champion of champions 1988. The title winner of the Paris-Dakar, which he achieved right at the start of the year. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's goodbye from us all at Montlhéry.